The Geekazine Weekly Podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network, found at www.techpodcast.com. If it's tech, then it's here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Geekazine Weekly Podcast, episode number 188. We've done 188 of these, and we're going to keep going until the end of time, or time can finish us off. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on a small hiatus. I'm going back on a hiatus. We've got a great show for you, though. We're talking Apple. We're talking Nokia. We're talking Apple recalling, banning frog dissections, all this and a whole lot more for the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. So sit back. I'm using that usual scrubby to find all the cool stuff. So let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you for coming to the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. What do you think of this new camera? I actually purchased the Logitech, if you're watching the video side, of course. I purchased the Logitech C910 full 1080p video. I still look a little red. I might have to do some more adjusting on that. But, of course, Geekazine Weekly Podcast, here we are. Once again, another Tuesday. How you doing? I thank you very much for coming to the show, especially if this is the first time that you've come to the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. I'd like to thank you very much for showing up, because we do this podcast. We try to do this podcast every single Tuesday for a Wednesday consumption. But, you know, in the last couple weeks, we've had a couple small little itsy-bitsy things where I'm kind of going from one place to the other. I've got to adjust the mic so it doesn't fall down. There we go. Going from one place to the other and back and forth, up and down and all around. And why are people calling me on my while I'm trying to do podcasts and so on and so forth? Oh, wow. Yes, if this is the first time that you've come to the podcast, thank you very much for coming down here. I appreciate it. You can always contact me. You've got the phone number down here, the email right here, 608-205-4378 or geekazine@gmail.com. Feel free to call me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Email me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can also Twitter me, Geekazine, @Geekazine. I'm always there. Want to encourage you, though, to go to the website, because the website's going to get everything that you need over at geekazine.com. If you go over there, you can see it frozen. There we go, unfrozen screen. And, of course, you see Geekazine at its best. We put in some new stuff. We got the 5 Tech Things RSS feed in there. I'm going to put the OTT stuff in there. We got a brand new OTT episode. If you haven't seen it this morning, please go check it out. It's OTT number 7. Jamie Davis from the ProMed Network. Of course, he's also a part of the Raw Voice group. And we met at Blog World. We talked a lot, and we did a small little 10-minute interview about over-the-top television. Pretty cool stuff. And, of course, all the Blog World stuff is coming. We talked to Audible. We're going to talk to a few more. We're going to do one. We're going to do the YouTubes, one of the YouTubes, or one of the videos from YouTube. And you can check that all out. I encourage you to go over to the YouTube channel, because it hasn't gotten too many views. Most of my stuff, which goes through Blip and then goes through the aggregators that way, it does go to YouTube. But feel free to go over to youtube.com and check out all my videos. It's under a different name, which makes it a little bit confusing, but I'm trying to put in all the SEO, so when you type in YouTube and Geekazine, it's just going to go right there. So, all right. Hey, of course, Geekazine.com is where you go for everything, and that's where we just pointed you to. What's going on? News? Well, like I said, first and foremost, you might see me a little bit fuzzy on top. That's because it is the first sunburn of the season, which means that I kind of got a little red on top. I went to Bratfest on Monday. Of course, Bratfest is the annual Memorial Day tribute to brats, and it's interesting that we consume a lot of brats, have a lot of fun, a lot of bands. There's 4 stages worth of music. Since I've been on my trips and stuff like that, I could only go one day, and that was Monday. So I went and I had my one brat. I always try and make it for at least one day on Bratfest. saw a couple bands, but then I went home. I figured I was out there an hour, but yeah, I got a little sunburn on top. It's, you don't want to scrape the razor across that. It's like that. That's pretty much it. It's not pretty when you do something like that. So, of course, last week I was out at Blog World New Media Expo, and that was a ton of fun in New York City. A ton of fun in New York City. New York City, a ton of fun. Anyway, I enjoyed the whole trip. Got out there on Tuesday. Went straight. I was supposed to go do a little tour of 30 Rock, but that didn't happen, and so I ended up going to the Javits Center. Caught the first session, which was a nice panel. Met up with Gary Vaynerchuk and the other panelists, and it was great events. Great to see a lot of people that I knew. Great to see some new faces like Jamie Davis from ProMed Network. I ran into Mike Rotman again from Streaming Garage. They just put up their Roku app, which is just amazing out there. So if you don't have a Roku, you should probably check that out and get yourself a Roku. So, of course, go over to Geekazine and click on the Roku link, and that will get you to the Roku page, and that will help me, of course, keep my life alive. So, but anyway, we did a lot of great interviews. I think in all we had 12 interviews for Blog World and 3 interviews for the OTT, over-the-top television, which, like I said, I'm starting to get back up again and go from there. If you're in the over-the-top television space and would like to do an interview, we do more than interviews. We also do, we're also going to do some news, so you can get on and you can talk some news with me, or you can talk about your product and stuff like that. So, but that's all coming out on this way, down the road, down the pike here, and we're going to do a lot more. Now, next week, here's what's happening. So we went to Vegas. I forgot I should finish my Blog World story first of all. Going to start, on Tuesday, had a great time. The evening was at the 404, which was an interesting room where we had wine tasting and lots of food, and lots of people met up with a group from Social Media Club and talked their ear off. We went over and had dinner at a place had a weird name to it. It was like, name's escaping me right now. But anyway, it was a great time. Walked Times Square and then walked back to I was like 5 blocks away from Times Square. So then Wednesday I went to Blog World New Media Expo, got some interviews, and checked out a couple sessions. Of course, the set-top box session was very interested in that, so I did some video and that, and did a lot of interviews. Also Wednesday, yes, I also spent some time tried to spend some time at TechCrunch Disrupt. By the time I got there, it was getting pretty late, and a lot of the exhibitors have packed up and headed out. So, but I did run into the people over at New Tech and the TriCaster. I ran into a couple other people. It was good, fun time over at Disrupt, even though I didn't get to spend a lot of time in it. But of course, that was a last-minute thing for me anyway. And then Thursday, spent all of Thursday at Blog World. Did the live Blog World session. First time with the MacBook Pro. As you can see, I'm not using the MacBook Pro today, but it will be coming into play into my system here. I might do some remote. I might finally actually get to doing the Geek Bar over there and go from there. But yeah, did the live show. Had some small little quirks, but I think I got it all worked out. Ready for HP Discover. Almost said Disrupt. But ready for that. Got home on Friday. I was dog tired, and I think I did a lot of sleeping on Friday. But Saturday, hit back in it. Got more videos up, and Saturday and Sunday, and of course Monday being Memorial Day. Who has time to kind of relax and cook out and stuff? Nah, I just keep working. So anyway, a lot of fun and great time. So thanks a lot for everybody that spent some time with me over at Blog World New York City. So lots of fun, and I'm ready to go back to New York City next year. Although I probably won't stay in the city. I'll probably stay where the hotels are just a little bit cheaper and they have internet access in the room. I was at the Hotel Pennsylvania, and it's really the room was the size of my, I don't know, my kitchen or something like that, and which isn't a big thing because all I do is sleep there. And I didn't have any internet access, though. So I couldn't do anything other than mix down my videos, which was good because I still mixed down my videos and got everything going. But it would have been nice to have some internet access. Phone access, of course, my iPhone worked perfectly in like the ninth story of that hotel. So I did have ability to look at some stuff. So. Hey, I want to tell you not to forget about going to that survey and check out the survey over at Geekazine.com. I'm just asking you some simple questions. What do you think of the Geekazine podcast? What do you think could improve in it? Day in tech history, the 5 tech things, so on and so forth. So please go over to the small survey. Go to the show notes. You'll see the link there, and you can click on there. And like I said, new episodes of the OTT and the special media feed, so you might want to subscribe to those over on your RSS reader. And go from there. What do you think of this this new bottom title here? I spent some time getting that all worked out today. Hopefully it'll look a little bit better. And as we go, we're going to add new stuff. So just finding some time to get that all down. So anyway, that's that. Let's get into some sponsors. Let's pay some bills because we've got to do that. And we're going to start over at Citrix and GoToMeeting. You know, whether you are in business, whether you're just trying to catch up with friends, that something like GoToMeeting, you have the ability to catch up on anything. Fantasy football, fantasy baseball, it's a great way to set up an online meeting, whether you're on a PC, whether you're on a Mac, your iPad. You can be sitting in the park as long as you have Wi-Fi access, or 3G access, depending on your iPad. You can go and get GoToMeeting, and you can have an online meeting. You can meet with anybody anywhere. You can be in Iowa. They can be in Australia. You can set up a meeting in a minute. All you have to do is 30-day free trial. Hit that Try It Free Now button once you go to GoToMeeting.com. Go down, enter in your stuff, and enter in that code PODCAST. PODCAST is going to give you that 30-day free trial, which is a $49 value. You should put this into your business toolbox. And I mean toot sweet. Toot sweet. So go over to GoToMeeting.com. Enter in the code podcast after you hit the Try It Free Now button, and you will get this award-winning software. Never had a problem. We've been doing GoToMeeting sessions on tech podcasts for years now, and I've never had a problem with GoToMeeting. So, anyway, that's GoToMeeting.com. Of course, it's also Your Life Online, and they've got some more ways to get you your stuff that you back up on with Mozy.com. You can get that free test drive with the 2 gigabytes for free. But if you decide to go in and get the paid program, which starts at $5.99 per computer, you can use that code GEEK, and that gets you 15% off. And, of course, you use that code GEEK anywhere on Mozy.com. That's going to get you 15% off that already low price. To back up now, back up often, and back up off-site with Mozy. Don't lose your pictures. Don't lose your documents. Don't lose your videos. Don't lose anything off of your computer because there's fire, there's theft, there's the hard drive dies. That's what Mozy.com does. So back up now, back up often, back up offsite with Mozy.com. Of course, we love Stitcher. Stitcher is awesome, awesome, awesome. It's your mobile solution for podcasts. Go over to Stitcher.com. If you go over to Stitcher.com/geek, that's going to get you to this page. And you enter in your email address and you download the application for your iPhone, for your Android, for your BlackBerry, for your Palm, for your iPad. And, of course, you'll then be registered for a chance to win a $100 cash card. So enter in your email, go over to Stitcher.com/geek, and enter in your email address and download this great software. Because I'll tell you something, I listen via Stitcher all the time, all the podcasts, and I always, it's right there. I put in my earbuds and I'm walking down the street, or I'm over at Panera or another coffee shop, and it's just a great thing. So check it out over at Stitcher.com/geek, and of course that helps the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. Finally, of course, this video and everything that I do, these little titles and stuff like that, if it wasn't for Wirecast, it wouldn't look as professional as it does. at least as professional as I can get it. You can produce your own live webcasts right from your computer. You get one machine, and actually this screen right here is being projected on the same computer that I'm recording it on. And, of course, I'm then streaming it off to Ustream from here. You can do a whole ton of great stuff. I can also connect to another laptop, another computer, 1, 2, 3 webcams, Firewire camera, so on and so forth. And that's over at Wirecast.com. Telestream.net/wire-cast. Of course, go to Geekazine.com. You'll see the 2 links for Wirecast, and that will get you to that award. I don't know if it's award-winning. So it's great software. It is great software. And I used it all last week. I'm using it this week. I'm going to use it a lot for HP Discover next week. So you're going to see all those videos and how professional it is. Even this stuff right here, this is actually pretty cool. I figured out how I could create this little title bar down here. You're going to see the little flips down here, which is pretty cool if you're watching the video. If you're listening to the audio, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But anyway, you can check out the video if you want. Please go check out the video if you're not watching the video. If you are, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Actually, thanks anyway. If you're listening or watching, it's all good. So anyway, 608-205-4378 or geekazine@gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get into your tech news because that is why you are here. All right, we're going to start over on MSNBC. Twitter has reported to launch, are going to launch a photo sharing service. Both All Things Digital and TechCrunch are reporting that sources familiar to the matter have plans for Twitter to create or announce that they're creating a photo sharing service at the D9 conference in California. There is no word on when it's going to go live, of course, or how it's going to work or whatnot, but it's actually a good idea for Twitter to get into and actually hold on to the photos as well. So I'm pretty interested to see how Twitter's going to take this information. Of course, we will keep you completely apprised if as things go in the future there. But in the meantime, you can go over to msnbc.com to check that out. All out. Anyway. Let's move on here. We're going over to Venture Beef. It's what's for dinner. Anyway, Apple is showing off their iOS 5. Now, what's really interesting about this on Venture Beef, wherever you're actually reading this from, whether you go through the show notes or whatnot, Steve Jobs and Apple, maybe it's not, I don't know if Steve Jobs pulled this trigger or not, but Apple has decided, hey, people are making money off of our rumors. So why not give them too much of a rumor to go off of? So instead, this time, they're going to say, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about iOS 5. We're going to talk about iCloud, which is the new music service. We're going to talk about Mac OS 10 Lion, all over at WWDC. And that happens in 5 days, 6 days. So it's going to be pretty cool. And we've got everything right here. And, the funny thing about it is because they did that, their stocks rose. Their public opinion rose. And I was just like, what? And I was reading that on another site that by the fact that they didn't give people a chance to wonder what the heck's what are they going to talk about? Are they going to talk about iOS 5? Are they going to talk about this or that or the other thing? I don't know. But by them doing this, they've pretty much added more points to their company. So what do you think? Do you like the idea that we now know exactly what Steve Jobs is going to talk about instead of kind of guess? Or I don't know if Steve Jobs is going to. Is he going to? Yeah, it's CEO Steve Jobs will lead the keynote. And do you like that idea, or do you just kind of miss the fact that I can't guess anymore? I now know. There's always that one more thing. He might come out with something that just, oh, wow, hey, yeah, you didn't talk about that. So there's always that possibility. Possibility there, probability, high or low. I don't know. You make the call. But check that out. It's all over at venturebeat.com. And, of course, we will let you at Geekazine, we will keep you apprised of the whole situation. Now that I'm fully in this Apple world, I can't wait to see what OS 10 Lion is now that I got a machine that can handle it. So, anyway, check that out. Intel says the Ultrabooks will dominate this world. Ultrabooks. Weren't they called netbooks before? I don't know. Anyway, Computex 2011. Intel turned around and said, yeah, we've got this thing called Ultrabooks. So they can take over the laptop market. 40% of this laptop market. They're going to air out with, and they're going to compete with the MacBook Air. And they're going to have the Samsung Series 9, the Lenovo ThinkPad X1, and then the Asus UX21. And they're calling them Ultrabooks because, I don't know, they're razor-thin laptops on the Sandy Bridge processors. And there might be something there. Netbooks, I mean, do you have a netbook? I know some people that have netbooks because they really don't need that processing power. I could never use a netbook because it's just not powerful enough. My laptop here that I've been using for 2 years is now starting to show signs that I need to move on. That's why the MacBook Pro. I mean, it's an i7 processor, so it's like 8 cores in my notebook there, and this one only has 2 cores. So I can't go back like that, but I can go forward. And if these netbooks, or I'm sorry, Ultrabooks, are faster than this laptop right here, I could actually change out for an Ultrabook, have a smaller notebook, because I'm still going to need this notebook. And next week I'm going to use it in tandem with the MacBook, so it doesn't, my MacBook doesn't take up all its process on 1 or 2 things. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But, you know, I don't know, will you buy an Ultrabook as opposed to a netbook? Aren't they one and the same? Anyway, check it out. Let me know. 608-205-4378 or geekazine@gmail.com. This is cool. I cannot wait for this to become public. Yes, it's a jetpack. It's a $100,000 jetpack. This is over on digitaltrends.com. It's called the Martin Aircraft Company created the Jetpack 5000. Or is it Jetpack? No, it's just Jetpack. Ha! Let's start over. Okay. Martin Aircraft Company, they created this jetpack. It went 5,000 feet. It successfully deployed a parachute so the person could land. So I'm pretty impressed with how this was. Now, I was watching an episode of not CSI, but I can't think of the totally drew a blank on that TV show. NCIS, thank me very much. And of course they were, because some guy died because of a jetpack, and so somebody successfully created a jetpack, and they had to apprehend him, and they did it by accessing the radio control inside the jetpack to bring him back. But he didn't have no parachute. He just landed down on the ground. It's like, okay, I'm here. But when you have a big jet on your back, it's not going to be a small little jetpack. It's probably going to be about 3 to 4 times your size in weight, if not more. I don't know. Does it say how big this thing is? It tells you how much it costs. It costs about $100,000. So that's kind of cool. I mean, $100,000. A lot of people can make that for $100,000. It did, just so you know, it did do a climb rate of 800 feet per minute, and that's pretty cool because most jetpacks couldn't go more than 50 feet in height there. So, but anyway, it doesn't look like it said anything other than that. So, if you're interested, check that out. Go over to digitaltrends.com for that information. Of course, the show notes will get you to that link. If you haven't heard about it, it's actually kind of funny. PBS did this documentary on WikiLeaks, and some hackers didn't like the fact that that they did this documentary. So they hacked into PBS, and they came up with an article saying that Tupac is still alive. Tupac and another dead rapper who passed away, I think, under gunfire a couple of years ago, were both alive and living. Where were they living? They weren't living in the United States. So some people didn't like it, so they hacked into PBS. Even PBS is not safe. So if you are, it's just another reason why we should think about backing up what we have for our websites, and make sure that you have all your security updates and update. I know WordPress just went to 3.1.3, so get those updates on there. Check this out. It's over at guardian.co.uk. A lot of people are upset at this. A lot of people are like, man, this. I'm kind of in the meh range, and that is, I don't know why that's not flipping right, but anyway, this is the RFID chip inside of certain foods. So you basically have this little device, and you put it up to your stomach after you've eaten one of these foods with RFID food smart tags, and it tells you where the process is in this whole thing. My understanding is this RFID tag is not powerful enough so somebody from a satellite is tracking you and what you eat. But I might be wrong. But I don't know. Would you want to swallow a RFID tag, even if it meant understanding how you ate, understanding how healthy you are? Let me know. 608-205-4378 or geekazine@gmail.com. It's the NutriSmart RFID tag. They mix with food, and they can retrieve short-range, Bluetooth range data from the tags. So, and I'm assuming that it's also some sort of biodegradable. So we don't have little RFID tags sitting in a sewer somewhere blocking up whatever. I don't know. As more as we get on this, you can check this out. It's over at geekbeat.com. I think they have they've got a little video over there, so check that all out. If you're a homeless person, apparently you love USB drives. At least that's what this site is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we go further, I talk about websites and new websites that we go to. If there's any problems, you let me know. This is the same thing here. I found out about this website, and it sounds pretty good, but I want you to understand what you're doing before you go sending stuff off. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. Basically, there's this website out there, and it's to give a USB drive to a homeless person so they can store their photos and their documents, because, you know, them carrying around those pieces of paper is not always something that they can do. And if this is all true, if this is all great, then I'm really happy. I'll definitely partake in this and give them my USB drives, the ones that I don't use anymore. But if this is a scam, then I just want you to be aware of this. And this is what I want you to do. If you do give anybody, this is thumbs up for homelesspeople.com. If you do give anybody any USB drives, make sure that you've erased the data to the point of non-retrieval. And there's ways to do that. There's programs out there to do it. If you're on Windows, if you're on Mac, I think you can do this with a thumb drive. You insert the thumb drive, you go into the disk manager inside the Mac, and you can say, I want you to erase this thumb drive to DoD standards. And if you type in a search, Google, DoD standard erase drive, you'll come up with programs. And there's there's programs out there. I don't want to recommend any program just right now. And of course, you can go out and you can check that out anywhere. But once you do that, once you've erased your data, or if you've got a USB drive that you really didn't use or didn't care, that's your choice. But remember, you give them a USB drive, they could pull information off of there, especially if you have data or pictures that you don't want circulated. So that said, we're moving on. You can check this out. Be a little cautious on this. If you found that there is a problem, if this is somebody trying to collect personal data, and collecting USB drives, then you should let me know, let the authorities know. More important. But anyway, I'm done with that. You can check this out. Thumbs up for homelesspeople.com. If it's true, then this is a great thing, because then homeless people will get a thumb drive to put their pictures on, their documents, so they don't have to carry around pictures or anything like that. And apparently this is what happens there. They even have an address. It's at Glendale, California. So in Madison, Wisconsin, yeah, we do have homeless people. Probably not to the point of California, where you know, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't been to California all that much nor have I looked at the homeless population, for that matter, to know the difference. But anyway, you can check that out and go from there. Off that soapbox, let's move on here. How much longer can photographic film hold on? This was over on Syracuse.com. I guess this is an Associated Press story, so I'm going to touch it and go. Check this out. Basically, what they're saying is there's 10 years ago they created 20 million or 200 million rolls of film in a year. Now it's only down to 20 million rolls of film. So there's still a need for rolls of film. So check that out over at Syracuse.com. Geekazine has a very interesting article about Nokia. Of course, Nokia is not doing too well. And after that whole will Microsoft buy Nokia thing, and then Microsoft saying, nah, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to match with us. I'm wondering if Microsoft is thinking that they're saying, okay, maybe we should wait, because eventually Nokia is going to drop to a certain point, and then we'll get them. And we'll get them for a great price. So we're holding off. And unless they're under contract, you might, if you're another company, like BlackBerry or something like that, you might want to look into this. I don't know. Something to think about. Interesting article over at Geekazine.com where they're having a very tough transition. Windows Phone 7 is not going to be coming out till fourth quarter. So Nokia is on... well, they could go bankrupt tomorrow, as far as we know. Something could happen. They're gone. That's how it's going to work, how it can work. So, interesting article. So check that out over at Geekazine.com. All right. If you do a lot of traveling, you want to be very aware of what you're connecting to internet-wise. You don't want to connect up to somebody else's internet. You definitely don't want to connect up to somebody else's internet and start using your banking programs, start using logging into certain things. If you have the ability, and especially for you people out there that make web pages, if you have the ability to log on via HTTPS, the secure protocol for HTTP, you should do it, because it adds encryption to whatever you do. This is a great article over at Mashable.com. Talks about how people get attacked. Talks about how you going to a coffee shop. I can go over to the coffee shop down the street and I can play with their router. I can log into their router. I can change them. I changed it for the good, so they have a better connection. So the IP addresses release every few hours instead of like holding on to a person's laptop for 72 hours, excuse me. So I've made those changes. But there are some people that will try and use it for bad purposes. And you want to be cautious about that. If you go to a coffee shop, think about what web pages you go to. And are they web pages that you should be on a secure web page for, and not a regular HTTP? And you can tell here. I'll show you how you can tell. Now I've got the link up here. Let's shrink this down a little bit. It's not doing what I want it to do. There we go. There it goes. So at the top you have Mashable.com, and this is my Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer. It says Mashable.com. However, if this was a secure page, you would see before Mashable.com, you'd actually see the HTTPS. HTTPS, yeah. And that will tell you that you're on a secure page. It'll also be a different color. I think in Chrome's case, it's a green color. Unless it's not a verified secure page, then it will be, I believe, red to let you know that this is a questionable page. So, but it's not very difficult to set up HTTP secured pages. So if you are putting in passwords anywhere, even when you're logging into a blog, you should think about doing it securely as opposed to doing it through there. If you're logging into your web email that you're not using Yahoo or Google or anything like that, you should think about setting up your webmail to be on a secured channel. So anyway, a great article. Check that all out from there. A few more, and then we're going to get you in the midway section. Apple iWork is now available for iPhone and iPod Touch users. This was on Apple's log, so I got the direct link there. So if you're using iWork, you now have the ability to use it on your mobile device as well as your MacBook. So that's a great thing right there. Back to Mashable about 4 free iPhone applications for making home movies. We're making more movies on more mobile devices, which is why I was really surprised that Cisco nixed the Flip, because I even watched a TV show where they did it all on Flip, and they did a pretty good job with all the editing and stuff like that. You still need more professional camera if you're going to do like zoom-ins and stuff like that and get that 60 frames or more set per second. I was watching this video where they did slow motion. They did things and then they did it in slow motion. Like this one guy was getting punched in the face, and then they showed it in slow motion. They took this humongous balloon and they filled it with water, and then they jumped on top of it, and we watched it explode. You can't do that with a Flip. I mean, you need a higher frame rate camera, something that would do something like 240 frames a second or more to get that slowness to actually see that happen. But you can do a lot with those Flip cameras. I mean, I've used the Kodak cameras for 2 years now, and I've done a lot of great shows with it. So anyway, you check this out. And iPhone, especially with some of these adapters that you can get for iPhone, to make the lenses a little bit more useful, fisheye lens, zoom-in lens, and stuff like that, you can make some good movies with your iPhone. So check that out. It's over at Mashable.com. 4 applications that'll give you like the sepia tones and the old movie look and stuff like that, which is kind of sepia, but not really. Anyway, 2 more articles here from ProBlogger: How to Format Blog Posts Effectively. A little article for all you bloggers out there that are wondering how to hone in your art a little bit more. And that's over at ProBlogger.net. And then finally, really, really cool. We talked about a robot at CES, but not like this robot. I mean, it was, whoops, wrong one. It was a snake robot that could climb a tree. This one is just a regular robot that could climb up a tree. And it's pretty cool. I guess it's in production right now. It's created by a person named Tin Lun Lam and Yangsheng Zhu from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. It's the TreeBot, and it's possible replacement for anybody that needs to perform a dangerous task. Like, for instance, if a building collapses, you can get these robots going through the whole building and find survivors and stuff like that. Now, of course, like I said, we've seen this before with other stuff, so this one is no different. But the other thing about this, if they can get the electronics right, they can shoot these off to Mars, Jupiter, and have these little robots scaling the whole planet, giving us feedback. And the cost of them probably less than Spirit. And we could deploy more, so we could cover more land. So if it does become very cold on the planet, we lose one. Okay, we've got 500 more that are getting information for us. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this is a great idea? Of course, I think it's an awesome idea. But there's some out there that are kind of naysayers. So, but anyway, you can check that out. And that does bring us to the end of part 1. We've got a great video, of course, the live fire, where you can actually take all your social network comments from your Facebook, from your Twitter, and actually import them into your blog. So you can check that out on the halfway point. Of course, the audio version, you'll hear something else. But we will be right back on the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. Geekazine's special coverage of Blog World New Media Expo New York is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Go over to GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free Now button, and enter in the code PODCAST for a 30-day free trial for your Mac, for your PC, for your iPad. That's GoToMeeting.com. And by Telestream and Wirecast. Create TV-style content straight from your computer. Switch cameras, put in layers, and put in titles, all through this great program right on the fly. Go over to Geekazine.com, click on the Wirecast logos to find out more. Continuing coverage of Blog World New Media Expo, Jeffrey Powers with Geekazine and the Tech Podcast Network. I'm here with Jeremy and a cool little product. It's called Live Fire, F-Y-R-E, right?
Right, gotta have the Y, F-Y-R-E, that's right, Live Fire.
Tell everybody what Live Fire is about.
Live Fire, well, we're all about community and helping communities grow and share and really increase engagement. And we're a real-time social commenting platform. And so, comments have been kind of been the same static, no real interaction. The past 15 years has been the same technology, no real innovation. And so what we're doing is we're changing that. Everything's going social, everything's going real time, and so we're making commenting social in real time. So whenever, you got your blog, you're a publisher, whenever your readers, your subscribers are on your site, they can bring their entire social networks with them. So it allows them to comment socially, tag people within the comment, Facebook, Twitter. And so we're all about community, building community, and increasing engagement.
So basically what I would do is I would create a post, and then I'd put the post on, let's say, Facebook or something like that. Somebody would reply to that post, and it would instantly show up on my blog?
Yeah, sort of. Well, you install LiveFire. We're a WordPress plugin, and so you install us on, say, your blog, say, awesomeblog.com, and you have LiveFire installed, and say you have someone that's sharing something on Facebook. So they tag a user on Facebook, say, hey, awesome blog post, love the insight, and then they tag their friend, Joe Schmo. And so Joe sees it on Facebook, it's posted to his wall, and he's like, hey, awesome, I'm going to reply right here. And so he replies on Facebook. We're going to pull that back into the comment string. That way, the conversation may be happening in different places, Twitter or on Facebook, but we're always making your content the central hub of all conversation, all interaction.
Okay. And you said Twitter, you said Facebook. Any other social networks that are in LinkedIn or Tumblr or anything like that?
We install not just on WordPress sites. We have custom installs for Tumblr, for Blogger, and other sites as well. And also, as far as LinkedIn and stuff like that, we have social sign-in where you can sign in with Facebook, Twitter, Google, LinkedIn, OpenID, and we're adding more. And we'll have, as the weeks go on, we're adding more and more integration, more and more features. And so we're rocking and rolling, having a good time.
Cool. Do you have a blog yourself?
I have a blog myself. Don't get mad at me when you see I haven't posted since January, but it's jmatthicks.com, jmatthicks.com, and just kind of my thoughts on social media, on blogging the entire kind of social media world and the way I see it.
Where do people go to get more information about LiveFire?
Go to www.livefire.com. You can install in minutes, and we have plenty of information there. And feel free to follow us on Twitter at LiveFire. Tweet at us if you ever need something. We'll be happy to help you out.
And it's L-I-V-E-F-Y-R-E, right?
L-I-V-E-F-Y-R-E, that's right.
Okay, perfect. Jeremy, thank you very much for your time.
Nice meeting you. Thank you.
For Blog World New Media Expo, this is Jeffrey Powers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Welcome to part 2 for the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. We got a lot to cover still, and we got only 10 minutes to do it. So if you watch the video, you got to see a great little program for all you bloggers out there called LiveFire, which is the ability to take Facebook comments and Twitter comments and put them onto your own site. You can check that out. Of course, watch the video, and you can see that we'll have that in the special media feed as well. In the upcoming days, so you can check that out over there. In the meantime, let's get you back into your content because, like I said, we do have a lot of stuff. The question of the week is we're going to be talking about in a couple minutes about frog dissection, and we'll talk about it. Like I said, we'll talk about it in a minute. But the question is are we prepping the kids right for not doing stuff like frog dissection? Let me know. Fill out the survey, and of course, go over to Geekazine.com. You can email me at geekazine@gmail.com or 608-205-4378 if you want to weigh in on that and let me know by the next week's show, or the week after next show, depending on if I have time. If I have time to do the show while I'm in Vegas, I will do the show. But if I don't, then we'll skip a week and go from there. But anyway, let's get back into your content here. We're going to start over at device.com. This is a very interesting box. It is apparently this TV will let you watch TV shows or movies, but then if certain words come across, it will actually censor out the words. And that's pretty cool. It's a company called TV Guardian. It's a $200 box. And, well, of course, I don't know how accurate it is. So I don't know if the F-bombs will come through or whatnot at certain points in time. It's interesting to see, but my question to you is this, and that is Microsoft got a patent on censorship in certain shows and TV videos and stuff like that. So my question is this something that Microsoft is going to go after for having the TV Guardian? They got a little demo on there where they're blocking out certain words. Interesting stuff. It's how software can actually change the way we watch TV. So if you have a set-top box, you can then turn around and use the why the volume goes low. Anyway, you can turn around. Let me just check. You can then turn around and censor out everything. Apologize for that a little bit. And just I was looking at the levels. It looked a little bit low. I wonder if I have a small gremlin on here. I'm gonna have to listen to the audio to double check. So let's just bring that and that. So yeah, check 1, check 2, check 2, check 2. Okay, you should be able to hear things a little bit better now. Anyway, check that out. It's over at device.com. Be interesting to see what happens. Of course, if you want to weigh in it, let me know. 608-205-4378. My favorite thing is on Roku. They say, when you watch Hulu Plus on Roku, the first thing that happens is the guy goes, "The following program is brought to you by," and certain times it happens in certain things, like, for instance, McDonald's. It always happens on a McDonald's commercial. He goes, "The and it's like, program is brought to you by," it just sounds like he just dropped an F-bomb when he's really saying following program, and it just kind of skips a beat right there. So if you got a Roku, you can check it out over on Hulu Plus. Of course, you need the Hulu Plus account. You got to pay for that, so you can check that out there. Device.com. All right. Apple Insider is talking about MacBook bottom case replacement programs. Apparently, the bottoms of certain MacBooks are affected where the rubber feet fall off. I think they get hot and then they just fall off or something like that. They're offering 3 options for replacing the case. You can set up an appointment with an Apple Genius in an Apple retail store. You can do self-service, or you can go to an Apple authorized service provider. So they're showing you how to replace. You replace the feet on certain MacBooks, not MacBook Pros, but MacBooks. Excuse me. If I said MacBook Pro, I apologize, but I believe it's just MacBooks. So you can check that out if you've got a MacBook over at appleinsider.com. The question, this is where we're coming with the question of the week, and that is a California high school. Which high school is it? It's in Moreno Valley, California. It's the Rancho Verde High School. And they said, okay, we're going to ban all frog dissections. And in some ways, yeah, I understand it. I mean, you have software that can virtually dissect a frog. You have you can create a model to dissect a frog, so you don't have to use an actual live specimen. But, and of course the animal rights groups are really happy about that. But the question is that changing the way that we do education? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I remember, gosh, I remember my 9th grade biology class. We dissected everything under the sun. You know, frogs, worms. There was a pig that we did a partial dissection on. I remember some of the stuff a little bit dangerous. You know, I remember there was a certain type of worm that you couldn't touch. You had to wear rubber gloves and you couldn't touch. So there was some danger, I guess, in it. They all were in formaldehyde, so it wasn't too dangerous. But you know, we always had some warnings: don't do this, don't eat the frogs, stuff like that. So, but I don't know. In a way, I understand it, and like I said, a way I don't. I mean, it's just the rite of passage. So, and of course, we've seen TV show after TV show talk about. And on this very special episode where somebody won't dissect a frog and they have to go through all the public rigmarole and the peer pressure and so on and so forth. But I dissected a frog in high school. Does that make me a better or a worse person? I don't know. Weigh in on your thoughts, 608-205-4378 or geekazine@gmail.com. I don't know. I mean, I understand it. I guess after looking at all this and the different ways you can actually dissect a frog, we don't need to dissect frogs in biology class. Now, later on in life, like, for instance, if you're becoming a doctor or something like that, a veterinarian, you know, this might be the better way to go. So, anyway, check this out. This is over on time.com. I remember when I was an IT administrator that everybody that I would talk to just talked so great about RIM BlackBerry. They always wanted a BlackBerry device for 10 years, or actually more than 10 years. When BlackBerry started, people wanted a BlackBerry device that were business professionals. And when I said, well, what about a Windows phone? They said, no, I need BlackBerry. What about a Palm? Because we started off with Palms, Palm 3s and Palm 5s, and they liked that. But the BlackBerry did a whole lot more. So for about 12, 13 years now, mainstream business wanted a BlackBerry. Well, guess what? There's a new story that's saying, hey, you know, and this is in the government area, because I did about 5 years in different state government work, and now they're saying, hey, don't want a BlackBerry anymore. I want an iPhone. I want an iPad. Get me an iPad, and I'll be happy. So we're seeing a major shift here, and RIM needs to really, really, really look at this and figure out what the heck's going on. And you know, it's no different than what any other company is facing right now. So they're losing to Apple, and now we're finding that federal government wants more Apple than RIM, and that's a game changer right there. Now, there's a lot of factors that are involved in devices. I mean, remember when Barack Obama wanted his devices? They had to be very secure, and in certain cases, you can't have a smartphone. It just won't work. But in other cases, you'll be able to use these devices and go from there. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. Right now, they're talking, and of course, they have a nice picture of Barack Obama with his iPad. So we're making a major switch. And when government makes that major switch, business makes that major switch, then RIM needs to really look at that. So anyway, appleinsider.com if you want to read more about that. Of course, go to the show notes, and that'll get you to the link there. There's an article over on Geekazine, 7 iPad habits of highly effective remote workers. Speaking of which, the switch to iPad and iPhone, there are 7 things. Like, for instance, one of the things is they suggest you carry a keyboard so you can do a better input. A lot of these bloggers to some of these events that I see, they don't carry their laptops or Ultrabooks or Netbooks or whatever anymore. They carry an iPad with a stand and a Bluetooth keyboard. Because sometimes they'll need the Bluetooth keyboard, sometimes they won't. They'll keep that in the bag. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm seeing the volume go weird again. I hope I don't have a short in this system. 1 2 1 2. Sorry about that. Anyway, check that out. I might be just. I'll have to look at the. I'll listen to the audio afterwards, and hopefully I'm not. Maybe it's the humidity causing some problem. Anyway, check that out over at gigaom.com, and we'll go from there. If you haven't seen this, it's actually pretty cool. It is the Star Wars weekend. Let's see if we can get a little bit of it. And I turned the audio off. It was on May 21st. It was called Star Wars Weekend. It was at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and they called it something like Dancing with the Star Wars Stars or something like that. And you saw the Emperor getting his groove on. You saw Chewbacca. You saw Darth Vader. Dance off with the Star Wars stars. That's it. And so they're going through there. We've got a very interesting. It's a link that you can go over to geekazine.com and in the show notes, and you can check this out. Here's the Emperor. He's on stage, and he's going to do a. Let's get back here. Let's switch it back here for a second. And, of course, he's rocking out to AC/DC's Back in Black. And so on and so forth. So you can check that all out over at youtube.com. It's the MemoBot. And, of course, they have some other stuff over at memobot.com. So you can check that out over there. All right. Finally, last part of part 2, and then we're going to send you on your merry way. This is just awesome. Not the typewriter, not the vulture. Well, part of the vultures. It's an 8-bit sculpture. And it's called Vicious Venue. It's a sculpture inspired by 8-bit artwork. It's a dead typewriter, and of course, vultures over the dead typewriter. And it's more than just 8-bit. I mean, they have the room there. That's not 8-bit. The typewriter's not 8-bit, but the vultures are, which was pretty cool. Sean Smith, who's an artist from Texas, transformed nature into real-life versions of 8-bit artwork. And my understanding is he's got a few other pictures out there. So you can check that all out over in Wired's UK gallery over at wired.com. Of course, once again, go to the show notes, and then you'll see the link towards the bottom, and that will get you there. Then how? So, and then go from there. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that is it. That's the last article. That's what we've got for this week. The scrubby has been wrung out, and we're good to go. We're ready to send you on your merry way. So thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. I hope you had a great time. If you're watching the video, let me know. Of course, like I said, I'll check the audio, make sure that there wasn't a small little gremlin in the audio rig there. So, but if you have any questions, 608-205-4378 or geekazine@gmail.com is the email address. That brings it to the end for this week. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. My name is Jeffrey Powers. You can find me over on geekazine.com or Twitter me at Geekazine. We're under Creative Commons No Derivative License, which means you can take this video, this audio, and give it to your friends, your friends' friends, your friends' friends' friends. But if you start charging, I need my cut. So please give me my cut. Anyway, thanks a lot for listening and watching. This is the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. We will see you next time on Geekazine. Take care.